New week, new outfit, and same old question. Do you have a pattern for that? And I'll get to it in a moment, but first let me show you what I'm wearing today. This is a very simple outfit. It consists only of two pieces, this long sleeve jersey top and a pair of wide-legged culottes. And the reason why I love it so much is because it works perfectly in this weird in between the season time temperature situation where you never know. You leave the house and it's a bit fresh in the morning, then it gets super hot in the afternoon and cooler again at night. So I know I don't want to wear a jacket anymore, but I could be too cold in a t-shirt, and then tighter trousers like jeans can be too hot in the afternoon as well. All of these things considered, this works great for this weird in between time. Here is why. This top is cotton linen jersey, and because of the way it's made, because of its knit, it's quite loose, so it's really breathable. And if I need to make it look slightly more like a t-shirt, I just roll up my sleeves and here I am. And also I made it oversized, so see, it's quite far away from my body, which creates this breathability. It's not too tight and it never gets too hot in it. And then at the same time, if it gets colder, it's very easy to pull down the sleeves, and weirdly enough, it keeps me warm. It's the most beautiful temperature regulating fabric. I adore it. And also it's this great pop of color, and these diagonal stripes are an absolute joy to work with. If you have any fears of working with stripes, opt for diagonal because you don't have to bother with aligning them. The pattern is so busy that your eye doesn't focus on misalignment on sleeves or side seams, so it doesn't matter. It has this very kind of lived-in feeling, and it only gets better with every wash. It gets softer, and it's also super lightweight. Sometimes I take this top as an add-on to something else and it weighs nothing. It's like a feather. And one quick note, if you're afraid to wear color because maybe you're sweating a lot, I do sweat a lot. It's been happening since I was a teenager, so it's a forever problem, and this is how I'm solving it here. First of all, this fabric is not just one block color, right? So there's a lot of things happening, a distraction. And secondly, look how far away my armpits are from my actual armpit. I'm designing my clothes so that it works for my body, and I do want to wear color on top. But yes, I'm afraid of those sweat marks. But in this case, I'm pretty confident that there won't be any, and that's also why I love this fabric so much. And the trousers are wide-legged culottes, and they have beautiful big pockets and elasticated waistband. I adore this type of waistband, and to be honest, if I could, I'll be making all my trousers like this. But it works best with really lightweight fabric. So in this case, this is extra light cotton poplin. I don't remember precise weight, but probably around 100-120 GSM. And what I love about these culottes is how comfortable they are, and also how versatile for different weather, because on the hotter days I can just wear sandals and there's plenty of wind coming in, so you know I'm not sweating. And if it's colder, it's easy to layer, I don't know, leggings underneath and put on boots. And now back to the question, do I have the pattern for all of this? And the answer is yes, but probably not in the way you expect. Because mostly when people ask, do you have a pattern for that? They imply that I have bought a ready pattern from some brand and can I recommend this pattern to them? And their answer is no. I don't work with ready sewing patterns because there is no point. They are not based on my body. There is a much better way to create clothes. If you're new here, hi, I'm Lisa Bennett, designer, educator, and co-founder of Arkdefo. We teach women how to work with their individual measurements and use their body as their own blueprint to design the basic pattern blocks. And then using those blocks, they will easily create any sewing pattern they want. And the best part, the garment will always fit them, and fit them in the way they intended to. Every single garment you can think of has these blocks at its base. Let me quickly show you how it works and how I designed patterns for this top and this culottes using my custom blocks. How to make a pattern for a long sleeve jersey top. I'm using my blocks without darts. For this particular long sleeve top, I'll be using my blocks with 40cm ease. First, I copy my blocks as they are. And all I want to do here is decide how long I want my top to be. Let's say something like this. That's my length. What shape of the side seam do I want to have? I usually just do this. Front, back. what type of neckline do I want to have. I just keep it high up as it is. Same goes for the back. And the last part here is decide on what we're doing here with the hemline. I just lift it up over here a little bit. So the hem goes a little bit up. But that's really it. I cut it out and my pattern is done. And I don't want to have this type of sleeve. I want to have a more comfortable sports sleeve. I copy this block as it is first and I cut it out. And I want to draw a funny shape that kind of resembles a fringe, like a curve this way. And somewhere in the middle, more or less, I also draw vertical lines this way. And now I will cut it from the armhole up the way. And then this little bit up. Same on the other side. I want to spread it open this way, a little bit up, and this way as well. Okay, on each side. The easiest way to do that is to glue it. So the main body of the sleeve doesn't change. Only these bits parallel to this original line. I correct my seam on the back, the curve, and on the front. And now I cut this shape out. And then in this case, I can use my new sleeve block as my sleeve pattern. The only thing not included here is the trim. For the neckline, I usually just measure the length of my neckline after the shoulder seams are stitched and make the trim about 20% shorter. It depends on the fabric, whether or not you are using ribbing. The more you practice making this type of tops, the more experience you have, you will kind of know what length will work for this or that fabric. How to design a pattern for a pair of culottes with elasticated waistband. On your basic trouser blocks, this central crease is a grain direction and also the length of your trouser. If you want to make culottes, all you have to do is to cut your pattern a little bit under the knee. This line will be parallel to your hemline. I start with the back and I just first copy the block as it is. On the back, we don't change much. From the hip line down, I made them slightly wider. Just allow the line to drop naturally down. And then I don't touch the inner thigh part, only below the knee line, make them slightly wider. So here is a new outline. That's my new inner seam, nothing changed at the crotch. That's it, it's ready, I can cut it out. Now in the front, things are slightly more interesting because we can add more width at the front by adding the pleat. Here's how I do it. I take my separate piece of paper, fold it, and I can just decide how wide I want my pleat to be. And now I take my pattern and align my center crease with the pleat. And now I copy it. It's my grain direction. I want to add same amount as I added on the back. On the inner seam, this much. And on the outer side, this much. And I go ahead and extend my pattern from the hip down. We don't need this dart, but we could remove a little bit from the side. And now this is the final shape of my front pattern. And I cut it out. In the waistline, I cut out, fold it, and that's my new front pattern. Nice deep pockets are nice. I want slightly curved opening. Now I go ahead and copy the waistline and now I can draw my pocket. So that's the base of my pocket. Now I draw the lining. I cut out my curve and go ahead and copy it here and cut it off. Here is my pocket pattern ready. The base, the lining, and the trouser. And if you want to have an elasticated waistband, then you don't need these darts either. So if this waistline is slightly wider than my usual waistline, it works for me because this will be just gathered by the elastic. And how do we measure the length of the waistband? You put together your front with the pocket and pleat folded, and then your back. And I just mark it. Yeah, this will be half of the waistband. on the fabric, I'll just cut it the full length, and that's it. That's my pattern for wide-legged culottes with a pocket, with a pleat, and elasticated waistband. Very often we get comments saying, oh my god, you make it look so easy. The reason is because it is that easy. Once you understand the basic principles, designing and making clothes is surprisingly simple. If you would love to learn how clothes actually work and design your own perfect wardrobe in easy step-by-step system, then I invite you to explore our online courses via the link below this video. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next Friday.